Hello and welcome to the GDM Garage. In this episode we will be making the Supra single turbo. So in this episode we will install all of the exhaust parts. The turbo, the exhaust manifold, the downpipe and the wastegate. But before we get to that, I'm going to explain all of the preparations that I've done to the engine first. The twin turbos had water and oil cooling, but the single turbo that we're going to use only has oil as cooling, so we need to plug the water lines. Here on the thermostat housing, you can just use a hose like this to do that, or you can weld these shut if you have the option. And down here is a water return line from the turbo to the engine, and this is the one in the front, and this is the one in the back, and these you can just plug like this with a hose and a bolt. Then we have the oil feed, and you have two on the engine, one in the front and one in the back. One you can plug as you like, since we only need one now. I have plugged the one in the back. And on the one in the front, I have installed this oil feed line to the turbo. And then down here we have the return line. And you can buy this plate with an AM fitting on, or you can make one yourself like this. These vacuum hoses behind the engines need to be plugged as well, or you can remove them. And I also put a cable tie on this water hose, just so I will get a little bit better clearance for the downpipe. And then last, I had to cut these studs a little bit to be able to fit the new exhaust manifold. But that of course depends on what kind of exhaust manifold you get, if you have to do that or not. So that is all of the preparations that need to be done to the engine for the exhaust setup. So now I'm going to explain in more detail on the single turbo setup that I'm going to use. And this is the new turbo. And as you can see, there's quite a size difference between the stock twin turbos and the new one. And the new turbo in question is a Holset HX40 with the 16 turbine housing. And with this turbo, should be able to get around 700 horsepower out of. And I have to modify it slightly for this setup. So I have welded this adapter on for the pressure side, and then on the back here I have made this V-band mount for the downpipe. And this is the setup that I'm going to use, which consists of the Holset turbo, a standard single turbo exhaust manifold for an MK4 Supra, which you can get at most retailers or eBay for that matter. An HKS style wastegate with a custom made screen pipe, and this universal downpipe for an MK4 Supra, which I have had to modify slightly to make it fit. So I have cut this V-band clamp that was on it off, and I have replaced it with a new, better one. I also had to cut the pipe with an angle so it would fit the turbo better, and then just weld the new V-band clamp on. And to the exhaust side on the downpipe, I had to cut the flange off and turn it about 5 to 10 degrees so it would fit the exhaust system right. And what we're going to do now, before installing all of this, is to wrap the manifold and downpipe with exhaust bandage. You want to do this to keep as much heat as possible in the manifold and downpipe, so less heat is spread out through the engine bay. But on the other hand, it's just an option. You don't need to do it if you don't want to. But anyway, let's get started. Now, there we go, all done, and turned out really good as well, so this should really insulate the heat pretty good. And now starts the really fun part with installing all of this. And the first thing we're going to do is to install the wastegate on the exhaust manifold. It's basically just easier to do it now when we have everything loose than on the car. But enough of that, let's start the time lapse. Now look at this. This looks awesome. It turned out really good. I'm so happy with this. And everything fits very well. The downpipe doesn't have any clearance issues at all. There was a slight tight fit with the oil return line from the turbo, but it wasn't impossible to get on, so I'm happy with that. But again, I have to say, wow, this looks really awesome. So basically, now everything on the exhaust side is done, and what we have left now to do is the pressure side from the turbo, the fuel system and the electronics. But that will have to wait for another episode. So basically, this is all for this episode. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already done that, and stay tuned.